Let us continue our discussion about resources. In our last classes, we discussed about different types of resources, various classification related to a resource development, strategies of resource development plans in India. I remind you once more, Indian resource planning strategy includes 3 steps. As we discussed in the last class, identification and inventory of a resource is our first step in resource development plans. It includes surveying, mapping, qualitative and quantitative estimation of a resource. Second step, evolving a planning structure endowed with technology, skill and institution formation. Third step, as we discussed in our last class, matching resource development plans with overall country's development plans. We discussed in our last class, each country has their own developmental plans. Resource development must go together with this national development plan. So these are the 3 major steps comes under Indian resource planning strategy. As we discussed in our last class, even immediately after our independence, we developed a concrete steps for resource planning. Because our historical experiences reveals the importance of resource planning in India. I remind you once more, mere availability of resource does not lead development. Availability of resources accompanied with proper technological and institutional reforms leads development. In other words, we can say that mere presence of resources and without the appropriate development in technology and institution hinder our development. So these 3 factors are interrelated, which are the availability of resources, technology and institution are the 3 interdependent factors which leads a development of all countries. Why resource planning is essential in our India? That is our next area of our discussion. Resource development plans in India, or why resource planning is essential in our India. See, in our last class discussion, we discussed that huge population size of our country, growing consumption level of resources in our India, pointed out the importance of resource planning in India, because the daily consumption of resources in our India is heavily increasing. In order to meet the growing demands of this huge population, we are heavily putting pressure over our national resources. This may create a shortage of resources in recent future. So we need resource planning. One. Second factor which initiated the resource planning in India is that geographical size of our country. Due to this vast geographical size, some of our states are very rich in some of the resource. At the same time, they are facing a scarcity of some other resources. There are many examples. Rajasthan, very rich in solar energy and wind energy, but facing an absolute scarcity of water resources. And our Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, these states are blessed with a lot of mineral resources, metallic resources. But these states are facing a problem of lack of infrastructural development. Infrastructural development in these states are the major problem of resource extraction in these states. So in such cases, we need a planning, resource planning strategies in our India. So that what happened since our independence, we developed 5-year plans to manage our resources efficiently and effectively. Next, our area, conservation of resources. Conservation of resources. As we discussed, resources are a vital fact for development. Resources are very vital for development. Human beings, they need development. According to the developmental demands, they are exploiting resources. Over-exploitation of resources or indiscriminate use of resources may create a lot of ecological problems, environmental problems, shortage of resources in recent future. To overcome these all problems, we need a resource planning. Once more, listen, over-utilization of resources, over-exploitation of resources may create environmental or ecological problems, as well as it creates a shortage of resources in recent future. It leads the importance of sustainable development. The world countries are now focused upon sustainable development, sustainability or sustainable development. As you know, sustainable development focused upon resource development or should not be compromised with the future needs, as well as considering the environment. Sustainable development, we can see that it is a development should take place without damaging the environment. Sustainable development means development should take place because human beings need development. Such a development should take place without damaging the environment, as well as in the present use of development or resources should not compromise with the future need. Such a kind of planning is very essential in resource development process in all countries, especially in our countries like our India. So that is the importance of sustainable development. Once more I remind you that sustainable economical development means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the future need. The present rate of development should not affect the future generation. So such a kind of development is known as what a sustainable development. And to create an awareness among the world countries, among the resource development plans, strategies, an international Earth Summit held in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1992. This first international Earth Summit held at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where has the states met. There they developed an Agenda 25. Earth Summit, once more listen, Earth Summit held at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil 1922 prepared an agenda called Agenda 21. The agenda was to combat environmental damage, poverty, diseases through global cooperation and common interests. Mutual needs and shared responsibilities were designed in this Agenda 21. And the world countries, all the world countries must follow these guidelines of Agenda 21 prepared by the world countries in Rio de Janeiro 1922. And next our topic, during the period of colonization, the major attraction of Europeans were the rich availability of resources in India. That was the major attraction of Europeans in India. At the same time, they understood that there were lot of resources available in our India, but India mainly facing a problem of lack of technology and institution. At the same time, most of the European countries, they had this high level technology and institutional setup. They maximum utilize their high level technological and institutional setup and started to exploit resources in our India. So this historical experiences helped our India, our country, to plan our resource development strategies in our India. Listen, this irrational consumption of resources with the technological development and institutional framework demands the importance of resource development strategies in our India. The next, our important resource, land resource. Let us discuss what is the importance of land resource. Land is an important types of resource. Why? Because 95% of human needs are satisfied with utilizing natural resource, land resource. 95% of our human needs are satisfying with land resource. So that land is an important resource in our India. Not only in India, all over the world. Then land includes natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economical activities, transportation and communication system, etc. So that what happened, the land resources are an important part of resources in the whole world countries. As we discussed, 95% of human needs are satisfying with a land resource. It includes natural vegetation, wildlife, transportation, communication, forest life, fisheries, everything deeply related with land resources in all countries. So that land is an utmost important resource. Then next we discuss what are the main relief features of India. Major relief features of India. Due to this vast size of our country, various types of relief features are present in our India. It includes plain surface, mountains, plateaus, valleys, desert, such all forms of topography are present in our India. India is blessed with all these different types of topographical features in our land resource. Example, we can see that 43% of our land resource consists of plain surface. 43% of our land resource consists of plain. Then 30% mountain system, mountains. 30% of our land resource includes mountains. As well as we can see that 27% of our land features include plateaus, plateaus. And rest includes coastal areas, a desert, etc. Listen, what is the importance of a plain surface? This plain surface is very important for the national development of all countries, because plains support natural agriculture, easy movement of transportation, and so that will happen in plain surface. Population is density is very high, because it support our agricultural practices, it support our transportation and communication, as well as it support the survival of human beings, so that Indian plains are densely populated. Example, North Indian plains are densely populated due to this plain surface. What is the importance of mountains? We can see that many rivers are originated from mountains. This river water is very essential for hydroelectric production as well as irrigation, and for our domestic and industrial need, river water is very important. Most of our rivers are originated from this mountain region, and at the same time these mountains are balancing our climates too. Climate variation, climate balancing is heavily depends upon our mountain system. As you know, our Himalayan mountain system protecting our India from the dry wind from Central Asia. Okay. Likewise, we can see that mountain system is also playing an important role to the development of our country. Then plateau land, 27% plateaus in all the countries. This is the most important land resource. Why? Because we can see that this is the storehouse of minerals, plateaus. Indian Deccan Plateau includes Jharkhand or Odisha, Chhattisgarh. These areas are known as what mineral storehouse of our India. So that what happened, India is blessed with almost all forms of what resources, land resources. Desert, another one. Lot of wind energy and solar energy can be produced from our desert regions. As well as it supports some endangered species too. Our coastal areas, vast oceanic structures helping our overseas navigation. All these land features are heavily helping our development process of our country. And there are some important factors which are determining the land utilization pattern in India. Our next area, factors which influence land utilization pattern, which include topography. As we discussed, topography. Indian topography is very favorable for our land utilization pattern. As we discussed, we have all forms of land features, topography is available in our India. So land use utilization pattern is very important. Climate is another important factor which influence our land utilization factors. So these factors which promote land utilization pattern will be discussed in our next class. So go through your notebook and textbook, continue your learning. Thank you.